attention to what's happening with our children. We speak life into our children, and we give them the appropriate praise and response that they're supposed to receive, so that when they go to school, if they have something that's adverse to that or different or not in alignment with what you're saying, then they come to you and say, well, this is what little John said about X, Y, and Z. But you said this. Okay, now let's have that conversation. Let's have that dialogue. But if you're not building your child up and giving them the tools and the resources and the knowledge and the affirming language in your home, then when they go out into the streets, they don't know what's right and what's wrong. And it's easy to take on what the bully is saying because you don't have anything to fight it with. No affirming language, no life talk, no, maybe not the confidence or the belief that you can go talk to your parents, whatever the case might be. I think that's some of it. I'm thinking about just some stuff that my son went through and dealt with. And if I could do some things different, that's what I would have done. I would have spoken more from a loving space, more from an acceptance space, even though some of what these people were saying was true. I probably should have given a different perspective in the home to be able to give him more strength and guidance in how to deal with those people out there. So that the affirming tone and love at home so that they can deal with what's going on in the streets.
Right. Tiara, I know you had something to say.
I want to add to what Lene is saying. You are absolutely right, sis. But we can only do so much. So what I decided to do, in addition to us loving on Lauren, we also took her to around people that look like her. My biggest gripe with living in California and raising a child in California is that it's a little too white and a little too liberal for me, right? I live in the valley. I live in the valley. So there's a lot of white and Latino people, and the school that she was going to was predominantly that. And so what I had to do was I had to take her to Debbie Allen, right? I had to take her to Wendy Raquel Robinson. I had to take her to schools and programs where I knew that there was like this auntie, like Debbie Allen's studio for Lauren as an artist was game changing for us. Not only because Debbie has her hand on those kids, but also like everyone in her academy also kind of echoes and is like Debbie. They feel like it feels like an auntie. So I needed that, even though we couldn't get auntie in because my family is not in California, we had to get auntie where I could get auntie. I said, oh, well, let me just take her where she gets art, but then she also gets community. So if it wasn't me saying, Lauren, don't do that, it's Debbie Allen saying, Lauren, take that out you don't talk to her like that. Game changer. And being around kids that were excellent like that, being around, because if what the mother said was, the peers at this point are the most important. Your peer perception, what your peers think of you shape your perception of yourself. There's nothing I could tell her. Obviously there is, but I'm saying that the people that she's around every day, the kids that she's around every day makes the biggest difference at this age. So I just had to get her around some kids that was like, listen, I want to be on television. I want to be productive. I want to be amazing. I want to work hard.
I was telling somebody the other day about my therapy experience, and how I explain therapy is in therapy, you can say some of the ugliest, nastiest things out loud. Sometimes it's things that you're thinking. It could be something that you've done that you've never shared, or it could just be something that you're feeling and you feel guilty for feeling that way, but that really is how you feel. And you can work through some of that stuff so that you don't have to carry around that anger or that burden, or there's something you need to release. Therapy does not give you the answer. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what people think. They think you're going to go to therapy and somebody's going to tell you what to do. And how come you can't figure it out yourself? That's not what therapy does. Therapy allows you to talk through something and find your way to resolve yourself. They just ask you questions. Well, what do you think about that? Well, how does that make you feel? Well, why do you think that you reacted that way? Well, whose fault was that? Well, do you agree with that? And then you get to a place where you're like, but goddamn. It's like an aha moment. And you're like, dang, I never thought about it like that. Or, you know,
Yeah,
it's
sometimes you
it's
need
a
somebody
perspective.
else's perspective, and you can talk it out. Like, it's not like you home talking to your mirror, right? It's really something to that, with them making you really think about the things that you may not have thought about, or all of a sudden making you realize that there's really no guilt in you even asking a question that you feel is important. I can't stress therapy enough. I have been in it. I am in it. And I will always use that tool, because it's not even though journaling is excellent. I love journaling. I do that. I sing when things are together, but it's something about having someone there to help you think out your thoughts out loud. And sometimes the therapeutic thing is you being able to say, well, I don't like that. Well, there's nothing wrong with you vocalizing that. And now you've lifted that burden off your shoulder. We're still going to continue to talk about this, because bullying doesn't just affect our young children. It also affects us as we're adults. We carry it through our life. We still have to carry what I call the bag of shit. You have to really sort through it. It's not something that smells good, looks good, sounds good, nothing, but you still got to sort through it to have a happy life. So we're going to take this short break, and we'll be right back.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes, yes, yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and reviews, so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
Do all the things. You know, you got something to say, right? You know, you want to come on and share your thoughts, right? So it's really easy for you to do. And this is a welcoming place. So as you know, we love to hear your thoughts. We like to talk back to you. We like to hear what you're saying out there. But if you want to be on camera with us, all you have to do is email us at info@realvirtual.net. Now, listen, you know, you watch us every day, but what if you miss
office is also open for everybody who lives here too. So if you also need to vent, you can just go to her office and just talk to her.
I think if I ever did have a therapist, I wouldn't have it be my mom. I'd have it be somebody else.
So you're gonna talk about me to somebody else?
Yeah.
Not to me.
I think you should know that mom changes her mindset. She changes it less from being a mom to being a therapist.
I mean, look at what's happening. Usually around this time of the year, this house is bustling full of people. Relatives I haven't seen since last Christmas, that's when they come around and we get to see each other. When in my family, when you come into the room, you have to give everybody a hug and a kiss. Like, family gatherings is just not even possible right now because that's changed. If you've lost a loved one during the year, like, this is really difficult. Like, you're used to having Aunt so-and-so there and they're not going to even be around. You can't even call them on the phone. So you really start missing your loved ones. Not to mention, people have lost their jobs. People are in a financial crunch. And so that makes things really, really stressful. People are doing things differently than how they used to do it. Now, if you're a person who is dealing with a mental health issue, this sort of change can be really off-putting and it can really set you off. And so in my office, I've been working with people and planning on how to deal with this sort of change. I think the best thing to do is to first just recognize how you feel. You know, just say, okay, how am I feeling right now? Things are different. And a lot of times people, just by talking out your problems, a lot of times just me saying, oh, okay, just me saying that at the end of the conversation, they'll figure their own problem out on their own, and they'll be like, oh, I feel really good now, doc. Thank you for talking to me for a whole hour. And sometimes I'll just nod, because people need an opportunity to vent. They need an opportunity to really get it all out. I think It's a Wonderful Life. It's my favorite. I could watch that movie over and over again. It's just the beauty of it, with the angel and the little girl in the end. That's my favorite. So, Taylor, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Santa Baby.
Yes.
Santa Baby with... Oh, okay, we gotta find it. Nicole, what's yours?
The Grinch.
How did I know you would say? Okay. Quincy, I know yours.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Polar Express.
Yes.
I thought you were gonna say it.
No, I wasn't gonna. Oh, you wanna say it together? 3, 2, 1. Polar Express. Let me tell you, that movie came out, Polar Express came out when Quincy was 4 years old. And I was working on my dissertation, and he was a real active little kid. And I sat in the bed, and I said, I gotta get this paper done. I don't know what to do with this little boy. And I was by myself because my husband at the time traveled for work. And I remember sitting in the bed, and Quincy would be up. I popped him popcorn, and we watched Polar Express about 2 or 3 times, over and over again, while I was working on my dissertation. And that is my association with Polar Express. And you couldn't tell Quincy he was not on that train. He was like, love that movie. I'm pretty much done. I packed a long time ago. I just have to put little stuff together. Boyce will pack the morning of.
But then tells us, oh yeah, you gotta be prepared.
Yeah, but he's good. He has it all in his head, what he needs to bring with him. And then he'll just pack like,
No,
he won't be packed until the next minute he'll be packed.
No, it takes him a little while because we're all outside waiting. And then.
Oh, waiting on him?
Uh-huh.
You think that's what's gonna happen tomorrow?
And it always happens.
Me, yeah, I pack at the last minute.
Yep.
But I always get packed. You know, I'm pretty packed for this one.
We're always outside waiting for you, and you're the one who's like, come on, get going while you're halfway packed.
You're right. You got it. Alicia makes me put my clothes away. Being in the house with a woman again, it's like moving back in with my mama. So like weather, I guess, is something where you can sail around it and all that stuff. But it's really kind of a new experience. Like we've never chartered a yacht before, you know, like it's kind of a bougie thing to do. And but we're glad to do it also because you can't take any cruises. And I love going on cruises, you know, but all the cruises, the ships are shut down. So, you know, so this is going to be a new experience. And I don't know, it's just something that I just really wanted to try. And so I'm learning as we go along. My goal is to be an ambitious person, and ambition means that you set goals and you try to accomplish your goals and all the things that matter to you. So what a lot of people do that I think is a terrible mistake is they'll be very ambitious on things that are professional, but they kind of just let their family life kind of have whatever's left over, right? And so the hard part is that after you put all your time into your career and your job, you know, you don't have much left over if you're really ambitious. You leave it all on the floor, so to speak. So what you have to do, in my opinion, is see your whole life as part of your whole master plan, where you're ambitious about all the things that matter to you. So if you have family, you know, you're ambitious about family the same way you're ambitious about your job.
So he's learned to at least tell us, okay, I'm gonna do a live. So what happened when we were on vacation, we traveled for many hours, you know, and so he's just like, we went and got food or gas or something, and then he said, excuse me everybody, I'm gonna do a podcast. So he'll walk somewhere and then do a podcast, or say something that he needs to say and then post it, and then we'll get in the car and go. So it just takes patience from the kids. It's the lifestyle of an entrepreneur is what the kids have gotten used to.
Gotcha.
They know that it's flexible enough where he can work from home all day, he can go travel to Colombia or do whatever he wants, but at the same time, it's still like he's always have the mindset of working. And then we'll probably go somewhere out in Miami, and then we're gonna get COVID tests. We're all gonna be tested for COVID, I think. Are we still gonna do that?
I guess we'll take the captains.
Whatever the captain of the yacht tells us.
Is that yeah, that's well, they can drive. want to say he's gotten much better. There have been times at Christmas, at Thanksgiving, there'll be a whole house full of people and we've had to drag him from down here. But he's gotten better. Actually, he's actually very patient with me because sometimes I'll just come in there and I'll slide him a note and I'll say, end this live now. And he's been really nice. And then he'll just look at me and say, okay, and then he'll try to wrap it up. So I do want to give him credit that he's been pretty good. But there have been times where I have to put my foot down. Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And it's Halloween, and I thought that I would just hop in and say hello. Welcome to drboycetv.com. This is a home for intelligent black people, so if you're not black and intelligent, you may want to get the fuck out.
Oh, he'll do a video while people are here, the whole household full of people. Just like the performance. He was like, you're on my Instagram.
My friend Chris, he was Black Jesus and he was singing for his wife and it was awesome. And I put it on my Instagram, you should check it out. You know, I said, look at this, Black Jesus on his knees for a black woman, right? So you got a God bowing to a goddess. Like, I just love that.
Everybody be going to church. I mean, singing to a black woman, Jesus. We're singing to a black woman. Jesus is on his knees for a black woman.
So he will you just never know. Being around Boyce, and anybody who's been around Boyce knows this. You don't know when he'll just start recording. And that is something that he's actually been that way ever since I met him. I've known Boyce almost 30 years. He has 30 years of video recordings.
So this is not make Biden a terrible guy. This is just another piece of information that you can use to make a decision. So I gotta go. I'm about to get out of here. But anyway, so just so that the reason I wanted to go live real quick is let you all know that we are gonna do the election night coverage. I'm gonna bring in black people from all different backgrounds. We're gonna bring some panelists from the All Black National Convention, and we're gonna have a black party. Take care, and feel free to go to my Instagram if you want to see Black Jesus on his knees singing to a beautiful black woman. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
It snowed on Halloween last year, but that don't stop people from going out. From 4 to probably 4 to 7. It doesn't go, or maybe 4 to 6. It's not going to go very much longer. This is not a lot of. Usually, there's a lot of people out, way more than this. So there's some people staying home, which is fine with me.
The earliest trick-or-treating memory I had when I was it was 1975. I was 4.
You remember that?
I remember it because I remember my mother was pregnant, and she's pregnant Halloween. That's how I figured out, or made the connection about when my mother had the baby and the baby died. Because I was like, if she was pregnant, because my sister was born in September. So why would my mother be pregnant if my sister was born in September? The following.
How long was your mom?
I remember pulling her arm and noticing her stomach was big, and I was like, "Come on, Mama!" That's like I wanted her to run, and she couldn't run because she had a big stomach. So Mama was like ready to give birth. Yeah. That was when we didn't make it. Yeah. And so my sister was born about maybe a year, about 11 months later.
Good.
So I guess they must have just got pregnant like right after.
A replacement child.
Really? Is that a thing? That's a therapy thing?
That is a thing, replacement child.
Oh, okay.
The thing is that you have a hole, you have a gap there, emotional need. So usually people do all sorts of things, but having another baby is one of the things to feel that need in. Wow. I think it helps you deal with the grief, but then you don't want to put all your hopes and expectations on it. But you come around after a while. I never went trick-or-treating. My mom would drop me off at this church. Me and my friend, we just get dropped off at this church, and then we'd spend hours. I don't know how she knew to pick me up. There was no cell phone, nothing. She would just drop me off at a church, and then I would bob for apples, and they had like little stations. They had a haunted house down there. I don't even know what church it was. And then after a while, I would just look up, and there she was, standing there, and I would be like, okay, I guess it's time to go.
Do you know what time Kristen and Talana gonna get here?
It's like 5 o'clock. What time is it?
No, it's like 5:30.
Is that them?
Yeah, that's.
Well, they can come over here.
They can drive in the driveway.
Oh, nice to meet you, Deputy.
The reason I wanted to go live real quick is let you all know that we are going to do election night coverage. I'm going to bring in black people from all different backgrounds. We're going to bring some panelists from the All Black National Convention, and we're just going to have a black party. And it's going to be all about the election, about the community, B1 philosophy, and everybody else is giving their spin, so we're going to give ours.
I think Biden's going to win, but it's going to be a contested election. It'll be closer than what people think, though. I think that Trump has more support than people think, but the stock market's pretty smart and objective, and the stock market is actually pricing in a Joe Biden win and possibly a blue wave. The Democrats might actually take the Senate, so it'll be interesting to see how it all turns out. Sometimes I have so much going on in my head, I have to lay it all out there so I can really see visually what the thoughts are, because there's so many things I'm thinking about with this election, but not just with the election, but with where we are in general, you know, like with the black agenda. I believe the black agenda is something that we don't need white people's permission to do that. I think that the black agenda needs to be implemented by black people, and I don't know why that's such a complex idea that we just kind of thought about recently, but I processed that, and that's what I'm going to actually pursue. So the way I see it, black people have already won this election, no matter who the president is.
We really don't need the government. We don't need the help from, you know, any of these political parties to do anything. We could build a virtual community and make millions, you know, across the world because of the access that we have right now. So yeah, I don't believe that they've had an agenda. They're not going to. And once whoever gets elected, let's see what they do, or who's going to hold their feet to the fire.
So let's assume that Biden wins.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna put his feet to the fire? Or are you gonna what?
Hell yeah. I enjoy, like, you know, I'm team black people. Every election I'll vote for black people, and that's it. And I'm voting for the black people that want my vote, that are voting for themselves. If you're black and you're voting for white people, then I'm not voting for you. But if you're black and you want the black community to prosper and do better, then we can work together. You know, the three key areas will be like reparations, conversations, mass incarceration, kind of dealing with that, the Biden crime bill, fixing that, and then also businesses. Like, we have to get support for the businesses, and then even little basic things like Contract with Black America lists things about like home ownership. Like, they could easily give some like interest-free loans for black people that want to buy houses.
It wasn't my idea, it was actually Boyce's idea, so I did not know what to expect. It was something I think that had been on his mind. It was like a seminal trip that he wanted to take. I was a little hesitant because I wasn't sure about what is this, and it's not a cheap trip at all, according to my my view. And I will have to say he was right. Like, it was something that we should have done. I'm so happy we did it. It exceeded my expectations, whatever those were, you know. Like, the chef was there. We had a chef and we had a crew. So the chef cooked all of the meals as exactly how we asked for them to be cooked. The captain took us very interesting places, all of the games and the activities that we did. It was just never boring. It was always interesting. The scenery was just beautiful. Like, I just could have just sat on the yacht and just looked at everything. It went by fast. and the kids had a good time. All of us had a really good time. And I think Boyce kind of had a moment there in reflection mode. There was a really nice picture of both of us on the last night of the yacht, and we were just kind of looking out, watching the sunset. And it was romantic. It was fun. We danced, we partied, we ate good. And it was yet another bonding experience with the family and his sister Tangi.
You know, the flight to Florida was, it was a good flight. It's always chaotic, like traveling with the kids and you know, Alicia and everything. But it was uneventful, you know. And I think traveling during COVID is interesting because we got a lot of flack from her mama about, you know, going down there at this particular time. You know, her mom is not too happy about that. You know, but we went down there. We're not stupid about COVID. You know, we wear our mask. We do what we're supposed to do. We don't go down there just acting a fool or anything. But we felt safe and we had a good time. And the hotel was nice. And so it was like a nice beginning to a trip. I think the thing that was like a point of curiosity for us is that we had never like chartered a boat before. I took a big step in dental health. I had to go and get some dental work done, and Alicia's been pushing me to do it. It wasn't something I didn't want to do. It was just something I was going to do eventually, but not right away. But she kept pushing me. So I said, okay. Dental health is really important, you know, for your physical health. So I went ahead and just surrendered to the process, and they had to do this oral surgery. And I told them I wanted to get some implants to really tighten up some stuff, and they did. So they put me under, and it turned into like a little bit of a shit show. My blood pressure spiked during the procedure, or like way over 200 or something like that, and that became kind of an issue, and I didn't even know about it until I woke up. So it's literally like 14 hours of being in a dentist chair. It was only supposed to be 7 hours. It was pretty fucking terrible, but you know, but it was almost like, it's like, as I tell the story, it sounds terrible, but going through it, even as I was going through it, I was like, this is really terrible. But it was just like, okay, you know, I'm just here. Like I really I wasn't as uncomfortable as I actually feel like I should have been just describing the story. It sounds terrible, you know, but because they gnawing on your teeth and all that for 14 hours, but it wasn't that bad. It was just like, okay, all right, well, let's do what we got to do.
I gotta blend my food while I got my dental work going on. It drives me crazy because I want those wings, but that's how I got these shiny teeth.
We had a little issue with his blood pressure. As soon as we put him under, his blood pressure shot up, and they said it went up above 200. And I was like, okay. And they said, we're gonna bring him up. It's gonna take him a while, and then we're gonna finish the rest of it while you were awake.
How long was I under?
So they put you under around 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. You did not come to till 1.
Oh, really?
PM, and then they would not let me leave.
What time did they tell you that they had to bring me up?
Probably around 11 or noon.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and so I had to sit there and wait for like an hour or so.
I don't feel any anxiety about that whole, it's like something about dying in your sleep, possibly. Like, I don't want to die. I wouldn't want to die, but it's like it just doesn't. It's like, well,
I wasn't ready for you to go at that moment.
I will be.
Hold on, dental surgery that I pushed you into because I was being pushy.
Oh, you were. I told you.
Pushy and I can be sometimes, and so I tell Boyce to just tell me, Alicia, you're being too pushy.
We have just started this property search. We have found a builder that's awesome. So we were looking at homes with our realtor, and we knew exactly what we wanted, but we didn't see the house that matched what we wanted. But we found a house that was pretty close, except the neighborhood that it was located in, it wasn't a tough neighborhood. So we reached out to the builder and we met with the builder yesterday, and we like what we put together.
We should look for a property that's a little easier to work with.
Now our challenge is just to find property. So our realtor found a couple of pieces of property. We're looking for something that's close to water, something scenic. Boyce is a little over the top. So he wants like all this land and this big old house. And me, I'm trying to think like, okay, how are we gonna clean this and heat it and cool it?
We just started and found out that this property is not, that it sucks. It's not a place we're going to build anything. So we're going to look at some other properties, and John is going to work with Carmen. So Carmen, we told Carmen what we wanted, and Carmen's going to pick some stuff out, run it by John. John, we'll take a look and then let us know if he thinks it'll work. And I told him that I wanted 2 to 4 acres, and because I want some land, and there we go.
I said, Boyce, I am not going to talk to this man about 8,000 square foot house. There's no way. What do we need this house for? Who's going to be living in this house?
Now, Boyce has a point because he said that eventually he'd like for our parents to come live in this house and stay with us. That I can wholeheartedly agree with. But other than that, why do we need all this? Now, I will say that Boyce needs a nice office. He does need like a green room studio. It's totally soundproof. He does need that for his business.
Put this shit on the door. So you shut this all the way in. And then, well, how about this? We'll take a look. I mentioned 2 to 4 acres, right? And then we'll take a look, and then we'll look at the price and have a conversation and decide. I want a yard. I want a yard. I don't like this place. Felt cramped. It felt like there wasn't supposed to be a house back here. And then check this out. I think you said that the front door would have to be most likely facing the water. And didn't you say that's bad for feng shui?
No, that's actually good. You do want water.
Oh, the water shouldn't be in the back of your house.
In the front. Well, yeah, sometimes in the back your chi could run out in the back.
Oh.
But you can put shrubbery to cover it. visit his parents, and we were really good because we sat out on the front porch, and Boyce, we were way far from your dad, and your mom was there, and so it's just Boyce and I there, and I'm looking, I said, Papa Larry, how much land do you have? He told us he had 3 acres of land. And I said, good grief, we need to come back. We need to bring the kids, and we need to have like a fun time over the summer, during the weekend, and we're gonna plan this. So we did plan that. And a couple of weeks ago, we came back, we brought the children with us. They played on the front lawn. They went, Boyce has he has a big pond in front of his house. And there's like a huge driveway, and so the kids went skateboarding and they were roller skating down. We played kickball, remember? We played kickball. Boyce and my daughter, and then Quincy and myself, my son and myself, and we all played on teams, and we got eaten up by the mosquitoes, and we ate a bunch of chicken, and we had a bunch of I brought a cooler out, and we just sat there for 2 full days and sat on the porch. We talked about religion, we talked about politics, we talked about, what did we talk about? Love, we talked about family, and they've been such a great support to any and every little thing that the kids do. They're like cheering them on 100%, and so it's been really beautiful. Now they have like a new set of grandparents, and you know, they're excited about Boyce being a stepdad, and they're seeing some of the perks, some of the perks that comes along with it. So they see Boyce as a benefit.
The little one requires a little more supervision because she's little, but she has she has her schoolwork, and then also she has her passion, and when I look at kids, I'm looking at all. I'm also factoring in, like, what are you going to be when you grow up? What does it really take to be a successful adult in this world? You got to be able to read, write, do math, and then you got to know how to do whatever it is that you want to do for a living. So the little one is a performer. I like pointing, kind of spotting like people's passions, and so for her passion just jumps out.
And really, I think COVID brought us all closer together because, Quincy was talking about all this philosophy he's getting into, and your dad's all into philosophy, and we had really healthy discussions where normally we would be inside watching television. And I made a comment on that. I said, God, I've gotten to know you more this summer during the pandemic because we are sitting out on this front porch, no TV there, and we're talking to each other and having genuine connection with each other. And so when you have conflict in a relationship, which is inevitable, there's 3 ways to deal with it. The first way to deal with it is to get angry. Get angry at that person for the conflict. And what that does, it makes your spouse the enemy. Another thing that you can do is you can just silence yourself. So sometimes Boyce would do that. Sometimes I know if Boyce is not having a good day or something's wrong, he will withdraw. Or if if I say something, which I'm always saying something that bothers him, or I'm doing something that he doesn't like, I'll know it because he'll withdraw. And when he withdraws, what he's doing is he's turning me into a stranger. And I'll say, Boyce, I'm feeling disconnected with you. Can you tell me what's going on with you? What's happening with you? And that it's my responsibility to create an atmosphere of love and acceptance so that he feels comfortable enough to say, you know what, Alicia? Or I felt embarrassed, or I felt upset about something. And then it's my responsibility to just listen to that and validate that. And that's something that you work on. So, the third way of dealing with it is just in the moment say, just talk about how you feel. And if couples were to follow just that format, they won't have to worry about being in entanglement. They won't have to worry about someone deceiving them or cheating on them or anything like that because they have that connection. So if Boyce is doing something, how like in relationships, because women are so connected and they're so in tune with each other, or Men are in tune with their wives too. You know how, like, if someone were to have an entanglement, they would know it right away. You know, so if Boyce got involved into an entanglement, I would know instantly. Okay, tell me what's going on. The wives, the spouses are the first one to know. I think you would know instantly because you're so connected. He's very sensitive. Boyce is very sensitive to me. And if I'm having a bad day or something happens, you react strongly.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. It's so good to see everybody, and I hope you all can hear me okay. I wanted to come in to talk about something that I saw on IG. There's always financial lessons everywhere that I think we can all learn from, things that we see that can actually help us to understand money a little bit better. And before I move on, though, I'd like to ask you if you could hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. We don't get corporate backing. We're not trying to be mainstream and all that stuff, but we are looking for intelligent Black people. And so if you are in that category, if you are a person who wants to do better, if you love your community, if you love your family, love your people, then we are your people. So feel free to hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And also, as I begin, I want to remind you guys that every single morning, 7 days a week, at 10 a.m. Eastern, I do financial training for anybody that wants to learn about money, anybody that wants to learn about economics. And I see Yoshika. How you doing today, girl? Good to see you. Tony Brown is FBA. All right, Foundational Black Americans. Shout out to all Foundational Black Americans. Give us our reparations. Give me a yes if you agree that we deserve our reparations. All right, so one of the things I wanted to show you guys is a clip that I found of a young lady who is apparently from Nigeria, and she says her dad pays all of her bills. And I thought that would be an interesting financial lesson because a lot of y'all got kids. How many of you got kids? Anybody got kids? Give me a yes if you got kids, and give me a yes if your kids get on your nerves sometimes. if you got kids and they annoy you sometimes, then you put a yes in the chat. We got 3 kids in the house, and I'm their bonus dad, so I didn't actually give birth to these kids. Our son is 6'9", so if you saw him, you would know that I cannot have the biology to produce a 6'9" kid. But I love him. I love him very much, and shout out to all the people out here that are taking care of their kids, whether you gave birth to them or not. So let me go ahead and play this clip. Give me a quick yes if you guys can hear the clip. There's a young lady that should be on the screen. If you're on Instagram, you won't be able to see the video, but you'll be able to hear it. Also, those of you that are listening on Spotify, same thing for you, but I'll explain what we're seeing here. So hopefully you guys can all hear it. So let me know if you can hear it. Here we go. I'm going to play it right now. It's on my Instagram page, which is Dr. Boyce Money, and here we go. Oh.
And what do you do for a living?
I vibe. I'm joking. No, I do acting on social media.
What would you say you spend in a typical month?
I can't say this online.
Roughly.
Between like 5 to 8.
How do you spend that money?
Shopping and Uber.
And rent and stuff?
My dad covers my rent.
How much a month are you paying in rent then? Or is your dad paying?
I pay yearly. My dad covers. I'm Nigerian. For everyone out there, you know, in the culture, that's just how we are. But yeah, my dad covers everything. My dad covers my life.
How much do you think you need to earn a year to be comfortable living in London?
I don't know how it works in terms of like how much people make in this country. I can't lie to you. Me personally, I need a lot. Because I spend a lot. I need a lot.
How much do you earn a year?
I don't really have like a base for how much I earn. If we're talking about what I get from my dad,
yeah,
I can't say. Unfortunately, I have to keep that one to my chest.
Above 100K?
Just know I'm enjoying life, and that covers my life.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
And what do you do for a living?
I vibe. I'm joking. No, I do acting on social media.
What would you say you spend in a typical month?
I can't say this online.
Roughly.
Between like 5 to 8.
How do you spend that money?
Shopping and Uber.
And rent and stuff?
My dad covers my rent.
How much a month are you paying in rent then? Or is your dad paying?
I pay yearly. My dad covers. I'm Nigerian. For everyone out there, you know, in the culture, that's just how we are. But yeah, my dad covers.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing right now. I hope you guys, let me know if you were able to hear that. Give me a yes if you were able to hear that. I know some of you are on Instagram. Dr. Boyce Money is my Instagram page. So feel free to follow me there. I'm going to go live on Dr. Boyce Money in the mornings when I do my morning class. So if you want to follow there, you can. Let me know if you guys can hear that. Okay, so here's what was going on in this video. This young lady basically says that she's 23 and her father pays all of her bills.
and she spends $5,000 to $8,000 per month. And she said mostly shopping. And here's the thing. I think that is that was inspirational. First off, let me ask you all a question. How many of you give me a type the word good if you think that that's a good thing. Type bad if you think it's bad that a 23-year-old can do whatever she wants because somebody else is paying the bills. So give me a good if you think that's good. Give me a bad if you think that's bad. What do you all think? I'd be curious to know what you all think about this interesting thing. Okay, I see a bad from Angela Africa. Okay, Vanessa says bad. Jay says good. Jay says she's honest. Yes, honesty is good. Kim Hitchcock says bad. Okay. Emma says bad. Who else? Okay, April says yes and no. Okay, that's interesting. All right. Let's see. Moyo says good. Yoshika says I'm torn. Yeah, you know what, Yoshika, I'm with you. I am torn. Todd Buchanan, you said both. Yeah, I'm gonna give the short answer on this. Again, in my simple opinion, I'm not an expert on being a dad. I'm considered an expert in finance, but that does not mean I know everything. So I'm not a know-it-all. First thing you learn when you get a PhD is how little you actually know. So your opinion really does matter to me. And I like hearing perspectives because I like learning from you. Let me go ahead and give you my answer. So the Dr. Boyce answer to whether this is good or bad is that the answer is both. It is good and bad. So what I'm going to do is give you some pros and cons so that when, some of y'all are doing well, some of y'all are making money. You're going to have kids out here that are going to, go out in the world and they're going to say, anybody, I don't know if y'all remember the Cosby episode where one of the kids was like, yeah, Dad, we're rich. And he was like, no, we're not rich. I'm rich. and so it's kind of like sort of letting kids know, like, hey, I learned it. I figured it out. I got it out of the mud. You have to get it out of the mud too. A lot of us have families like that. But then there's that other extreme of saying, like, well, just because you got it out of the mud, just because you struggled and strained and stressed to get ahead, that does not mean your kids have to stress. Just because you were traumatized does not mean your kids have to be traumatized too. And I think that that's the balancing act, right? That's what we're all grappling with as first generation, middle class, upper class people. Give me a yes. In fact, let me just do a quick check. How many of you, give me a yes if you are kind of considered first generation of middle or upper class in your family? Give me a yes in the chat. If you started off poor and now you become successful, you started from the bottom, now you're here. All the people that are in that category, put a yes in the chat. And I'm going to put myself out there too, because I was, born to a 16. Well, my mother was 16 when she got pregnant. When we were 17 when she gave birth to me. Shout out to the mothers that they gave birth to their kids even when they didn't have enough money, because I know Planned Parenthood had another plan for me. They didn't even want me to be here talking to you. I'm not going to lie. But anyway, my mother had a really hard time. When I was a baby, we did live in the projects. I didn't know they were the projects, but that's where we lived. It's called the South Place. And so money was really tight. It was really hard. We had to kind of work to get ahead. And in the midst of that struggle, we picked up a lot of excellent values when it came to work ethic, delayed gratification, hard work, consistency, all that stuff, long-term planning, right? So I learned that from my family. Well, you know what? Our kids are some suburban kids. Suburban Black kids don't have those same skill sets all the time. Suburban kids don't have to go through some of the challenges we might have went through, some of the life or death experience some of us went through, and or just all the other things. And I'm kind of glad they don't, right? I'm kind of glad they don't have to struggle like we do. But at the same time, there's a type of strength you gain from struggle. Okay, let me know if you get what I'm saying. Like there's a strength you gain. There's a set of abilities, superpowers you get. If you watch any Marvel movie about any superhero, they will tell you that superhero got their superpowers from some really difficult experience. They were challenged by the experience, they overcame it, and because they overcame it, they became very powerful. So a lot of you have your innate superpowers because you did come out of the mud and you did go through hell in order to create your own heaven. I learned that heaven is a place I had to build. Heaven was not a place that someone was going to ever give me. And that resilience has been beneficial to me. And that's something I'd love for the children to inherit. But the truth is, they're just not. They're not going to ever really, they're going to be who they're going to be, but I don't know if they're going to be who we are. Right. So anyway, with that said, though, here are some pros of what I see. First of all, if you have kids that are able in their early 20s and 30s, or early 20s at least, to be able to live their lives without financial stress, you'll find that they're able to focus on activities that build their long-term career. They won't have the immediate stress of financial burdens. A lot of research shows that early support in a young person's career can lead to positive long-term outcomes. So if you take that financial burden off of the plate for them, they're able to make long-term decisions as opposed to making short-term decisions, putting out short-term fires. You know what I mean? So I remember when I was 23 and I was working hard. I was a straight A student. I was trying to get my PhD, but I would have to distract myself from my long-term career building activities so I could get $500 to pay the rent. Okay. That was not beneficial. That was not something that was not a character building experience necessarily. That was something where if somebody had said, hey, let me write this check for the rent so you could focus on school, that would have benefited me, because it wasn't like I was going to take the money and go out and become a thug or go out and start gambling with it. I was going to pay the rent with it. So that is one benefit. Also, when you delay financial stress, research shows that young adults face significant financial pressure in early adulthood. Give me a guess if you've noticed how many young people are on TikTok literally crying and breaking down in tears because they can't pay the bills. Has anybody noticed this? This is a really popular trend right now of just falling to pieces on TikTok, as if the internet cares about your feelings. And I guess that maybe those are the only friends that they have. And they're all crying. They're all sad because they don't have enough money. And I feel so bad for them. And I say, why didn't your daddy invest for you? Where's your daddy at? I believe every little girl deserves a daddy. I hate the fact that we have become so distorted in our community that we somehow have become used to the idea that 76% of all Black girls don't have a father in the house. I think every Black girl deserves a daddy. Every Black boy deserves a father. Every Black boy deserves a mama and a daddy, right? We all get a mama. Most of us get a mama. Almost all of us get a mama. But unfortunately, the majority of Black children don't have a daddy. And if they do have a daddy, a lot of daddies can't do for them what this young lady did. So I think a lot of young women were watching this and really happy for her, because they were like, gosh, I wish my dad was able to do this for me. So, to all the daddies that are being good daddies, shout out to you for holding up the standard. I think that we should be the protectors and the providers. I provided for kids that wasn't even mine, because I just believe deeply in the ability to be there for our kids, and we're not there for our kids. And that's why they struggle. As much as we might want to point fingers at them and be mad at them, a lot of them are just making it the best way they can. It's a complex world. We didn't teach them nothing. We ain't leave them nothing. We don't leave them any assets. We got people that die and leave a damn GoFundMe account. All that is unacceptable. All that is unacceptable. We cannot do that. You have to invest for the kids. We have to leave them something. You got to have the life insurance policy, man. Get your trust, protect your assets, man. You put something together for the kids. Start buying stock for them when they're babies so that they don't have to struggle. So that's what I like about it. I like the fact that she's got a man in her life who is not trying to sleep with her, who is there for her on a financial level, who's not trying to push her to go 50-50 and not telling her she's a gold digger because she don't want to eat at the Cheesecake Factory. I think all of that is a beautiful thing. And I'm going to tell you, all this goofiness with the dating where the women are getting yelled at because they have a standard in terms of what they would expect from a man financially. I think that comes from the fact that a lot of these poor girls don't have fathers that can help set that standard. But at the same time, though, that goes to the other side of this argument. So I'm actually going to point that out. So the last benefit I'd say is that it does enhance family bonds. Research shows that if you're supportive of the kids, you're going to be more connected longer term. Why is this a benefit? Well, because one day you're going to get old and you're going to need that young brat to take care of you one day. So you want to make sure that they love you and they don't sort of remember like, well, you left me out to the wolves. You threw me out there and left me with nothing. So now that you're 85, I'm going to throw you out there. Okay. So anyway, do me a favor. Please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Let's see. Talisa says, what is this notification? I don't know what that question means. I'd like to ask, what is this question? Because I don't quite know what you mean, but I hope you got a notification. Anybody get a notification? I'm gonna tell you, when you talk about Black people stuff, they tend to mute your channel. You have people that'll do goofy stuff and they have 10 million views, and I'll do the same topic, and it's very difficult to get people in. We have to sort of reach out to you on our own. And in fact, speaking of that, if you want to follow me in the morning, I will go live at Dr Boyce Money. So on Instagram. So follow me at Dr. Boyce Money on Instagram, and you get a chance to see me go live. I'm going to go live tomorrow. I'll probably go live once a day or so. And if you're interested in your economic development, then I can sort of help you with some of that. Secondly, don't forget also that tomorrow we're going to do stock options. If you've ever seen how much money and income you can generate by selling stock options, you'll be very impressed by that. I'm going to literally show my students exactly what I do to make money. My wife and I do this. This is how we make our money. So if you'd like to do the $1 trial for the Prime program, which is a very popular stock options income program that we have in the Black Business School, just check the link in the bio. If you're watching on drboycetv.com, the link is in the bio. And also, I have a training called How to Make Money Without Working that'll knock your stocks off. It's totally free. Just text the word money to 87948. So text money to 87948. Okay, all right. So let's see. Ricardo says notification from Twitter, not the text number. Oh, okay. So Twitter gave a notification. That's good. Well, that's better than nothing. I'll take that. All right. Thanks to Elon Musk. I guess he's helping us out. All right. So here's the three cons that you might want to consider when you're talking about taking care of your adult children. The first is kind of a delayed financial independence. So while the support is helpful in the short term, it may undermine the child's ability to develop essential financial management skills. This young lady is spending $5,000 to $8,000 a month with no responsibility whatsoever. She didn't mention that, like, I'm working really hard to finish medical school or I'm busting my butt to build my business. She kind of seemed like she was really living the soft life. And the soft life is good for your mental health to a point, but it can also create a type of stagnation that you don't have when you have a purpose. So a lot of studies show that when a child is able to depend on others financially for a long time, it can delay their transition to full independence. So if you notice in this video, when he asked her basic questions about, like, well, how much does it cost to live here? How much do people have to pay to live in London? She had no idea. She had no idea. So to me, that's a sign of what I call in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. I refer to that as economic immaturity. The economic immaturity showed itself in the sense that she didn't even know what people pay in bills to live in that place. So what if one day she has to pay the bills? What if one day daddy's money runs out and he can't do it for her anymore? She's going to kind of be stuck. That's going to be a real problem for her. And so feel free to go grab a copy of the book, actually, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can go to drboycebooks.com and I'll even sign your book for you. And actually, our 17-year-old, we don't give our kids the soft life. They work for us. So our 17-year-old is actually the one who will send you your copy of the book if you want to order one, and she'll even have me sign it for you before we send it out. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com and just search for the word autograph, and you get autographed copies of my books. All right. So the next reason why you want to be really careful about that soft life sort of thing is that it can create a little bit of entitlement. Okay. If you give a lot of financial support to a child, especially a child that is an adult, technically, they can have a sense of entitlement and financial dependency. A lot of research shows that young adults receiving significant financial help may struggle with personal responsibility and motivation to achieve financial autonomy. Now, let me explain it like this. How many of you remember just being hungry? How many of you became successful because you just really wanted it and you felt it? You felt the fire in your belly. You woke up with it. You went to sleep with it. You were hungry like a Rocky movie. Hey, anybody ever have that feeling? Anybody just sort of go through it where you're just feeling like, I got to go do this. I got to make it happen. Ain't nobody here for me. I got to go get this, right? Give me a yes if you've gone through this. I know that was my experience all through my doctoral program. Every single day I woke up, I would study 8, 9, 10 hours a day. I don't think I would have done that if somebody was paying my bills. I was in school for a very long time, and I was just a fighter, man. I just fought. And that fighting ability has really helped me a lot in my life. I'm not scared of nothing. I'm just not scared of nothing. I ain't scared of nobody. Can't nobody get in my way and make me flinch. I'm going to fight until the end, until the finish line, because that's what I was trained to do. And I got that through what I call God's training camp. And that's where you want something, you feel like you deserve it, you worked hard for it, but you still didn't get it because the universe has decided that you're not worthy of it yet, right? The world does not give you what you want. The world does not give you what you want. The world gives you what you deserved. The world typically gives you what you earned. Now, sometimes there's exceptions. Sometimes people get lucky, sure, but we're not going to sit around and hate on that. It's random luck, but you can't rely on luck forever. Typically, life gives you what you pay for. So if you don't get what you feel like you deserve, that means you didn't pay a high enough price. That's what it is. So ultimately, that hunger, that thirst, that push, that's something that entitled kids don't tend to have. And also, it can be the last reason why this could be a problem, taking care of your adult children in that same way, is that basically it can put strain on the parents. I don't know if anybody's seen these studies, but did anybody see this? This was actually in major news media recently. The Surgeon General came out with a report where they basically said that parents in America are in a health crisis. They're in a mental health crisis that literally you're getting crushed in what they call the sandwich generation, especially those of you between, say, the ages of, I don't know, maybe 35 and 55. The sandwich generation is where you've got kids to take care of and you got aging parents to take care of, and you got your job, and you got the bills, and you got inflation, and you have unprecedented amounts of credit card debt, unprecedented amounts of auto loan debt, unprecedented amounts of student loan debt. You're dealing with all of that, right? So you are literally under a lot of pressure. And the Surgeon General literally said, this is a public health crisis of epic proportions. Like, this is a big deal. So really, the part of the reason that I'm a little bit concerned about, taking on a financial obligation like that, $5,000 to $8,000 a month, is because, if you run into a financial strain and your child is saying, hey, daddy, where's my $8,000? And you're down to your last $2,000, that can be a problem because you're trying to maintain this image of being the strong man financially. And maybe that image is one that you can't handle at the moment. Maybe you're having a tough time. Maybe maybe your business is struggling. Maybe your savings have been depleted. So ultimately, that's one of the downsides that I see. So if you want to know my 2 cents on it, I think I'm definitely a big believer in investing in kids. I believe you should invest in them in terms of time, invest in them in terms of money, invest in them in terms of energy, invest in them emotionally. All these investments matter. I think some financial support is certainly beneficial, especially if they're doing good things for themselves. And if you got it like that, maybe when you do make those investments, not get to the habit where you create it as a fixed cost. A fixed cost is where they know they're getting the money every month. Instead, make it like a sporadic gift. Like, okay, here you go. I just decided to send you $500 today. And I just want to say I'm proud of you. You're doing a great job. But don't say, hey, I commit to sending you $500 a month forever, because eventually when that relationship comes to an end, or when that financial thing ends, you might have some friction there. You're going to have some financial anxiety. Financial anxiety causes people to start fighting with each other. It causes a lot of conflict in families. My wife is a therapist, and she deals with that type of stuff. In fact, I'm going to bring my wife to class later on this week. She's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. And so if you want to join us for Money in the Morning, financial consciousness training, where we train on the art of economic elevation, how to get your finances right, go sign up at b1moneytips.com. The class is free. It's every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. So feel free to go to b1moneytips.com and you can join us. And this week, I want to say Wednesday or Thursday, I should be able to get my wife in there to bring her by so she can kind of talk to you guys about financial anxiety and how to deal with financial psychology, the emotions of money. Money is very emotional, and it's something where you don't want money to destroy you and your best relationships. You want money to enhance these things. So that's what we're going to do later on this week. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Reminder, this podcast is on Spotify. So if you look up my name on Spotify, you can find me there. I'll also be live tomorrow morning at Dr. Boyce Money. So feel free to check that out. And last but not least, don't forget the All Black National Convention is happening October 25th through the 27th. This is where we get together. It is a Black sponsored conference with the smartest Black people on the planet coming together to solve problems specifically for Black people. The politicians aren't doing anything specifically for Black people. The corporations are not doing things specifically for Black people. The government ain't doing nothing specifically for Black people, but Black people are doing things specifically for Black people. So if you're into that kind of thing and you want to be around other people that are looking for solutions for their families, that want to build wealth, that want to educate their kids, that want to build a stronger community and want to just connect with each other, go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. We usually have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people there. We're almost out of tickets. We're going to sell out. We always sell out every year. So you may want to get your passes now. I don't expect there'll be any passes available at the door. So I hope to see you guys in Chicago, October 25th through the 27th. So anyway, I'm out of here, guys. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And don't forget, if you want to do the $1 trial for the stock options income program, it ends tonight at midnight. You can actually look for the link in the bio. It should be in the bio. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Hello, everybody. How are you? Happy Sunday. I am Dr. Alicia with Coaching with Dr. Alicia. I just want to welcome all of you all to the Dr. Alicia Healing Haven Book Club. Looks like there's a little bit of a lag on my internet, but it doesn't matter. We're going to keep going. Today, we are going to finish up chapter 2 of How to Be an Adult in Relationships. It's the 5 keys to mindful, very demure, very cutesy type of loving. And it's by David Risho. He is such a wonderful therapist, and he's been practicing, look like 50 years he's been practicing, and I've been practicing for 20 years. I've been a licensed therapist. It has to be 21 years now. Thank you, Joseph. It has to be 21 years. Still eating. We just had dinner. I can't believe we had a big old dinner, and then you got junk food. Okay. He said hello. But isn't that something? Your candy. Okay. All right, I'll see you. All righty. Anyway, we just finished eating dinner, so I'm surprised he's still eating. We had a big plate of food today. Anyway, so we're finishing up chapter 2 of this book. So that means that next week we're going to start chapter 3. And chapter 3, y'all, is all about how to find a partner. And that's going to be kind of fun. So we're going to put chapter 2 to rest. And then we'll start chapter 3 next week. I am coming in next week because I have no travel, nothing going on next week. Anyway, so we're going to start. The author of this book, he ends every chapter. So the ending of chapter 1 and the ending of chapter 2, he puts into place practices, things that you can do to help heal, and things that you can do to help you learn how to interact with individuals in a way that's healthy. And I think that's the whole point of this series. He recommends, although he didn't come out and say it, but he recommends that you start a journal. As you go through this book, he recommends that you have a journal and that you go through certain steps and processes in your journal. So today, what we're going to do to close up chapter 2, I'm going to go over all of the different activities, journal activities that the author recommends that we need to do to develop yourself. So I say, everybody, get your journal out. And we went over this, half of this. We went over a couple of the activities last week. And by the way, if you want to view some of the previous material, you can look at the show notes, and there's links to chapter 1 and chapter 2. So all of you all who are just joining and you don't have the book yet, don't worry. You can go and watch my other videos. I read from the book, but in addition to reading from the book, I also kind of break it down, and I kind of throw in my thoughts and ideas about it. And so today, what we're going to do is go through all of the practices that the author is recommending that you do in your journal. And then we will next week continue with chapter 3. So I want to say hello to everybody. Hi, Ronald. How you doing? Good evening to you. Hello, Joseph. It is a nice book. Hi, Rhonda. Rhonda was in here early. Maya. Hello, Maya. How you doing? Maya Bowen. Nice to see everybody in here. You can say hello in the chat. I'll shout you out as much as I can. Neutral Sovereignties Corp. I love that. Love that name. Chalet, how you doing? Okay, Cognitive Warfare. That name sounds familiar. I love that. Cognitive Warfare. You know, that's really great name you got there. That's really what this book is about. This book is about cognitive warfare. It's about reclaiming your mind. And there is a war going on for your mind. And this is about us reclaiming your mind. Moments with LJ. Oh, how you doing? Lori Victory Boyd. Lord, Victory Boyd. I voted for her, by the way. Y'all check out Victory Boyd. I voted for her so she can get this award. She's up for an award, international award. And I was on her Instagram earlier this weekend, and I voted for her. She's an amazing voice, an amazing person. She is an amazing person to write all that music. But anyway, let's get down into it. What we're going to do is go over the practices. So I talked about some of this last week. So I will start right after heroic journey, we're going to start on page 73. And I want to review the practices. So number one, in your journal, what the author is asking for you to do is to think about the important people in your life. And he wants you to go through mentally and do these mental checks in your journal about who is safe and who is not safe in your life. And it's very important to identify the people that you're in constant communication with, constant contact with on a daily basis. Hopefully it's not just work related. I'm imagining there's people in your family, some of your friends that you're in contact with. And what the author is recommending that you go through a process where you check to see who is safe and who is not safe in your life. And he's asking certain questions. Can I chance being myself and let love happen with you, right? These are questions he wants you to either think about it with yourself, or if you are safe enough, bringing it up with the people who are important to you, particularly if you're married, if you have a spouse, you should ask these questions. And not only ask these questions of your partner, but have your partner listen to you answer some of these questions as well. Can this relationship provide a zone of security where the submerged parts of me can surface? What are your insecurities? What are the things that you feel uncomfortable about, or things you were teased, usually things you were teased about in high school, or, you know, certain insecurities that you have. A lot of it comes out in high school, and things have happened to you when you were growing up, things you've experienced that you may feel embarrassed about, things that you submerge about yourself. You mask some of these, and they could be insecurities. Can you talk about these things with a safe person? So that's the very first practice he's asking, because not everybody is safe, and not everybody can give you the safety that you need for you to open up. And it's important to kind of assess what you're doing. The second item that he wants you to talk about is about mirroring. Well, we talked about mirroring a few weeks ago. You can check that out. But he is saying in your journal to ask your partner, can you help me in my efforts to get back on track? When you have this trusted person, can you lean on them to help you develop into the best person that you can be? And can you give them permission, so to speak, to just say, you know, this situation was uncomfortable for me. I experienced bullying, or I experienced an embarrassing situation with me. And these are some things that I'm struggling with. In a lot of the practice I work with couples, we talk a lot about how did that person trigger you? What is it with that person that triggered you to react in such a strong way that you did? And a lot of this is the basis of healing and to understanding each other a little better. And I got to tell you, I mean, this is the reason why I think there is nothing like your spouse or the person that you are in a relationship with. I don't think that can be compared to anything. And I know there's some ways of thinking where people believe that how you interact with your partner, you should give that same level of interaction with a boss or with a colleague or with a subordinate. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that there is a comparison between an interpersonal relationship, somewhere where there's intimacy there. I don't think there's a comparison there. So the person that you decide to get married to, the person you decide to settle down with, that relationship is like in nothing else, right? So I really do. I really do think that that relationship is unique. And this is why having these conversations, do I sometimes trigger you into feeling something I couldn't bear to feel, so that you can help me identify it and then hold it with me? You don't have that level of intimacy with anybody else, right? So that's sort of my thinking there. Okay, the next thing or challenge, I call them challenges or exercises that he recommends that we do. The third one is adult seeking. And with this, he's saying that sometimes we come into a relationship or we come into a situation where we're just kind of lacking. You know, there's certain qualities or needs that we want to get fulfilled. And no matter what happens, no matter where it comes from, we always seem to feel a little empty. So he's saying, you know, if you fear loneliness, if that's the fear deep down inside that you're going to be lonely, you know, why would you get married? There's a bottomless pit that comes along with that. So he wants you to be able to think about this in your journals. Can I receive a moderate amount of attention and be happy with it? Because it's unrealistic to think that somebody can just shower you with attention forever, right? So, but it's important to set aside special time for attention and for allowance and for all of the things that you need in a healthy relationship. But at some point, you're going to have to fill it up yourself. So he's asking you the second thing to do that. The third task is to do that. The next challenge that he gives people is you have to face certain options in yourself. So what he wants you to do in your journal is to think about how are you progressing in certain scenarios? Are you acting as an unmirrored inner child in all of the ways in which it possesses you? So what, in my mind, how I like to think of it is, do you respond in a way where you're responding as a hurt person, a hurt little child, or are you responding to life in a way where your pain has been processed? Okay, so that's how I like to see it. Is it the hurt child talking, or is it the adult talking? An adult means no matter what pain you went through or whatever happens to you, you've processed it and you can go forward in life as an adult, right? So here's his challenge. You write this in your journal. Do you seek relationships that mirror and build trust? Okay, that's the healthy adult. Or do you seek relationships that fail and mirror that breaks trust? You know, are you seeking relationships and not picking up that this person is not trustworthy? Are you trying to get trustworthiness out of somebody that could never give that to you? You know, are you in denial, living in denial because you can't face the pain of understanding that the person that you're with right now is not even capable of giving you what you need, right? So are you seeking out relationships that is doomed from the beginning because the person wasn't very trustworthy? Why did you ignore the red flags? That's what I think he's saying in here. When you ignore the red flags, you're putting your emptiness ahead of what you know is best for you, right? So, you know, so that's you operating as a hurt child. Okay, so the second thing, I think there's a little bit of a delay, but I'll keep going. The second task is, do you understand that trauma is a bridge, right? Or do you experience trauma as only an obstacle, right? So is it an obstacle you can't get through, or is it a bridge to make sure that you can overcome something, right? He's also asking, do you recover from the past and move beyond the pain? So moving beyond the pain and recovering from the past, or are you on an unconscious level repeating the past and clinging on to the hurt and pain? So he's asking you to write these down. Ooh, it takes a lot of honesty to get to this point, to be able to honestly answer these questions about you and your relationships. In your relationships, how does this fit your experiences? Do you wish to transcend an experience, or do you feel compelled to reenact an experience, right? Do you want to, because when you reenact an experience, you are just continually replaying something so that you can master it. Not by dealing with the pain, but by looking ahead and saying, I want to try to master this, so I'm going to replay it over and over again. Or are you the kind of person that says, you know what? Instead of repeating this cycle, this trend that happens all the time, I'm going to stop. I'm going to look back and I'm going to figure out how can I transcend this experience by working through the pain. Okay, so that's what he wants you to put in your journal. And lastly, are you the kind of person that expects relationships to succeed? Do you go into relationships expecting it to succeed? Are you expecting success out of your relationships, or are you going into a relationship and you're just like, this won't last? And my wonderful illustration of this is something that Cam Newton said. He said, my fear of getting divorced is greater than my fear of being married, right? So, or, he's scared he may get a divorce, and that fear overrides his ability to even get in a relationship and commit himself to someone. So this is the Cam Newton example, because if you're going into a situation and you feel deep down inside that I can't trust this person, that this person is going to deceive me, that this is going to end horribly, that's enough fear to make it so that I don't trust myself. I don't trust my judgment. I do not trust that I have the ability to pick the right person for me. And the reality is that you do. You know how to pick the right person for you. You can't make a mistake. And even if the relationship doesn't work out, which often sometimes it does, it's okay. Sometimes people come in and out of your life, and sometimes it's not meant to last forever, unfortunately. But you don't go into it knowing that it's not going to last. There is a possibility that it will last, but you have to kind of deal with a lot of things, have these expectations, because there's a self-fulfilling prophecy that goes into it. Don't get married if you just feel like nothing, I'm going to get divorced anyway. So I really think that it's important that we look at these things. And this is what this author is suggesting that all of you all do in your journals. The next step he wants you to do in your journal is self-care. Come on, y'all got to have a self-care plan. Self-care does not cost money either, by the way. My self-care plan, most of the time, because I'm so freaking busy sometimes, my self-care plan is a bubble bath. You could go to the dollar store and buy a bubble bath in a dollar store. And if you don't have $1, I don't know what to say, but I soak in the bathtub. I don't know if I'll do it tonight, but I spend a lot of time shutting out the world and taking time to invest in myself, particularly if it's been a long day. So yeah, I soak in the bathtub. So the next one is talking about your self-care plan, making sure that that you just take care of yourself, and that's always important. The next step that he writes in his journal, I did talk about this last week, is refusing abuse. We don't need to talk about it. Nobody deserves to be emotionally, psychologically, or physically abused, particularly physically abused. And of course, if there's any physical abuse happening, that is illegal. It's not illegal to psychologically and emotionally abuse another person, but it is illegal to physically abuse another person. It's also illegal to financial abuse is also illegal, by the way. Can't be taking people's money without their knowledge. So some forms of financial abuse is illegal, and people can go to jail. You can prosecute them for that. But outside of all of that, you have to set some boundaries, right? Sometimes you can work with the person that you're with and say, I'm not going to tolerate this, right? You can work with someone and talk to someone about it. But you know what? Another thing you can do is that you could just leave, I did talk about how I work with a lot of people who are worried about upcoming holidays. And I could just say, well, what is your boundary? Sometimes you need to make your boundaries very clear to the other person. I have boundaries. Once we start getting into this type of conversations, it's uncomfortable for me. Or if you're in a situation, there's no need to judge anyone. There's no need to do any of that. You just pluck yourself out of that situation, put your coat on and leave. No one stops you. We're all adults here, right? This is not for children. This is an adults here. You can go to your room. You can close the door. You can say, this conversation is over. It takes two people to have a conversation. What I don't recommend is yelling and arguing, and that's not healthy, right? I do recommend healthy behavior, and of course, calling a therapist if you need help with that. I think abuse is very serious. I think psychological abuse is just as damaging as even physical abuse sometimes, right? And so we just don't tolerate those types of instances. The next thing he is bringing up here in terms of practices, and I use a lot of this in my practice, he's talking about you got to reverse these messages, right? Sometimes you need to get into the self-talk. What do you tell yourself? What is it that you say to yourself? And then you need to kind of get into it and just get into it. He says, most of us have internalized messages by which we judge and insult ourselves. And a lot of those messages were given to us. We agreed to them on some unconscious level. We agreed to it, and it seeps into us, and we think subconsciously that there's something wrong with us. And he's saying you need to reverse this. You need to identify it. You need to be able to, I like to, in my practice, point to who told you these things. This person lied to you, because I know, as well as all therapists I talk to, I know that the basic goodness is the core of all of our being. Even the people we label narcissistic, the people we label as toxic, I understand, even as a therapist, that is a hurt child, that sometimes we operate from a place of pain and hurt. And it could be, I can't pay attention to you empathizing with you. I can't pay attention to having even sympathy for you because I never received it, right? So I do believe in the basic goodness. And I love this part of the book because he talks about how love is all around us. It all depends on what you pay attention to. And I'm gonna pause a little bit here because there's some thoughts coming up for me. There's so many of us who believe that we live in a dangerous world. How many of you guys believe that? Keaton, do you believe it? I see you, Keaton. How many of us believe that we live in a world that's dangerous? How many of you think, oh, we live in such a dangerous world? How many of you all don't believe that, right? Ask yourself. Some people believe that all relationships are about control. Some people believe that as soon as I step my foot outside my house, I'm in a war zone, right? Some people really have these beliefs. And I kind of question people like Ronald. Yes, we believe that the world is dangerous. Well, you know what? It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be. I believe we live in the world of sex. Yes, okay, Keaton, I believe I live in the world of sex. Yes. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. The world that we live in is up to our choosing. If you walk outside and you think that the world we live in is somehow sexual, then everything you run into is going to be filtered through the sexual lens. Keaton. If you believe, like I think maybe Ronald is saying, that we live in the world that's dangerous, then everywhere you go, you're going to find and seek out danger. It really is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can reverse this message of fear, right? I believe we live in the world of peace. Like Kevin is saying, okay, blessings, peace, and prosperity. Maybe that's how I see the world. I see the world as blessings. I see the world as peaceful. I see the world as prosperous. I'm with Kevin. That's how I choose to see the world. And I guarantee you, I've said this to people, and I know people really, look at me like I'm crazy. But, I have said to people, I've never been in a fight. Never. I would talk to people about it. I was talking to my husband about it. Not one time has anyone ever punched me. No one has ever. I've never gotten into a physical fight with anybody. I am 50 years old. I turned 50 this year. I have never in my life been in a fight because fighting is not my world. But I know people who see fighting as their world and they fight all the time. I've never been in a physical fight. Yeah, so Irma brings up a good point. The children who were victims of school shootings thought the world was a safe place. The world still is a safe place. Like, think of it now. We are way more safe than we've ever been in the entire history of this world. The history of this world. We are safer now than we've ever been. That's a fact, by the way. We are, not only are we safer right now than we've ever been in the whole history of the world, but we're also live longer, we live healthier. The way we live right now, if we lived like this hundreds of years ago, I don't even think the most prestigious people lived as good as what we live now. And even think about poverty. Poverty in this country is nothing like poverty in a third world country. If y'all been to a third world country, poverty here is nothing. Most people in third world countries or developing nations, their poverty is they don't have lights and running water. You know, most people who would consider to be poor, they got cell phones. So it's all relative. It's all relative to who you compare yourself to. But the reality is, and y'all can look it up, we are safer now than we've ever been in our entire life, and we need to appreciate that. So our world is safe. But it's what you see it, and there's ways to reverse it. You can meditate. Love is all around us. I love this quote on the bottom of page 77. Love is all around us. I encourage all of you guys to y'all get this song called Love Surrounds You. It's by a group called Bird Tribe. Y'all get that. Get that book. Get that song. Love surrounds you, and start listening to it. Meditate to it. And love will surround you. It will happen. You can program yourself and you can reverse these messages. And I'm saying that because that's the way I live. I live that way. A little bit of a delay here, but that's okay. We're going to keep going. Love surrounds you. Get that song, download that song, Love Surrounds You by Bird Tribe. Get them people they download credit, okay? Because that's a beautiful song. Okay, so next he talks about, after reversing the messages, allowing both sides. Yeah, so the next piece that he wants you to do in your workbook or your journal is to allow both sides. I really like this because this is almost like, how many of you guys are familiar with the Hermetic principles? How many of y'all familiar with the Hermetic principles? Y'all download, y'all can get a PDF, just do a basic internet search, download the Hermetic principles, and y'all read it. It's not a very long document. I do recommend that you read it. It is how the world works. Thank you, Maya. God is love and he is omnipresent. Yes. And I love the God in you, Maya, and all of you all. So that's what it is. There's a God force in us. If I got to talk about God on a Sunday, but there's a God force in us. And that's what I'm talking about. Tapping into that. Thank you, Maya. That was golden. So the Hermetic principle, one of the Hermetic principles is that what goes up is going to come down. What goes left is always going to go right. What comes around is always going to go around. These are the Hermetic principles. It is the foundation of how the world works. So if you want to know how the world works, get the Hermetic principles. And he is talking about, you're going to have painful experiences. You're going to also have joyous experiences. And he's asking you to write about it in your journal. Will there be losses in my life? Yes, there will. I've been there and back. Will there be a wonderful gain? Yes, there's always going to be gains. You're always going to lose. You're always going to fail. And that's the whole point of it. I want y'all to get this song. This is the second song, number 2. I want y'all to download. It's called, I wrote it down here, Good Days. The name of the song is Good Days, and it's by this white lady. And bless her heart, I met her. She's a beautiful soul. Her name is Luki, Luki. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. I've never introduced myself to her. I never said, hi, I'm Alicia. How you doing? Her name is Luki, Luki. And the name of her song is Good Days. Listen to that song. Meditate to that song. I want you to meditate to Love Surrounds Us. Love Surrounds You by Bird Tribe, and meditate to Luki, Good Days. And that song is very powerful because she's saying in that song, there are good days, there are bad days, but I'm going to be okay no matter what. So it could almost be a gospel song, but it's not. It's like folky, but she's saying, you know, sometimes things are unfair and that's just how life is, but it'll be okay. So you got to get that song Good Days. And she sings about it washes over me like waves. And that's how life is. Sometimes good things happen to you, that washes over you. Sometimes painful things happen, that washes over you, and it's okay, right? So let me tell y'all, download that song, give that white lady her download credit, and the conversations that we're having right now in this moment transcends race, okay? Because this white lady she's writing about our science, the science of Black people. I don't know if she realizes that that's what she's doing, but we have got to get back to, I really do believe that us as Black people have got to get back to who and what we really are originally. And sometimes you have to transcend race in order to get there. And so give this white lady her download credit because she is amazing. And I met her in person. I've spoken to her. I've sat with her. She does spiritual stuff, a lot of spiritual stuff. And she's an amazing, beautiful soul of a woman. So anyway, all of her music is fantastic, by the way. But if you want to get into how to allow both sides to come through to you, get into Luki, Luki, Good Days. There's good days, there's bad days. It washes over me like, you know, like a wave. Anyway, I can't talk about that enough. But anyway, so let's move on. So I'm kind of summarizing for all of you all who are just joining me. I'm summarizing the end of chapter 2 of How to Be an Adult in Relationships. It's the 5 keys to mindful loving. This is how you do it. So I'm going through the ending of chapter 2. He gives out some practices and some things that you need to do in your journal. So y'all got to keep a journal. He's talking about some things that you need to do. The next step that he talks about is being aware of fulfillment. I really love this. He's saying that in your journal, he wants you to list specific ways, the 5 basic needs: attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. He wants you to write out in your journal where, when you were growing up, where has each of those 5 things been neglected? Where has each of those 5 things, when you have been growing up, has been fulfilled? So, did you get the attention you felt like you needed when you were a child? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Okay, sometimes it's different for everybody. Everybody has a specific level of attention. But do you feel like the adults who raised you, who were around you growing up, did they give you the attention that you felt like you needed? Yes, no, write about it in your journal. Did you feel accepted? Did you feel accepted, or did you feel like people were judging you? Did you feel appreciated, or did you feel unappreciated, growing up? Did people appreciate you, right? Did you get affection? Did your mama hug you? Did your daddy hug you? Did you get hugs and kisses when you were growing up, or do you feel like it was unfulfilled in some way? And were you allowed to be and to say and to think and to feel everything that came to you, or were you often shut down? So write that in your journal and write about that. And he wants you to say, once you write this down, since these 5 needs are also central qualities of love and support, list what you have been looking for in adult relationships. I'm almost certain they're connected to some of the things that you feel like you're missing. Things I missed at home. I know that's Boyce and I, that's our one of our favorite songs by, oh God, I can't remember who it's by, but there's a song about that. He's asking, are your most desperate needs the very ones that went unfulfilled in your childhood? Ask your partner, ask people around you, are you good at receiving and responding to their own needs? So he's challenging you to reach out to the people who are close to you and ask them, do you feel like I give you enough attention? Do you feel like I give you enough acceptance? Do you feel like I give you enough appreciation, affection? And do I allow you to be who and what you are? If you have an honest conversation with the people around you about how you're doing, it's so important that you don't shut them down. Don't argue with them. Don't go, I don't know what you talk about. Don't get offended. Just be mindful and write it down. List what it is. No arguing. And I really do. I have a prediction. Here's my prediction. My prediction is that all of the things that you all of the things that you felt like you did not receive when you were a child, I'm interested to see where in your current life do you feel like people think that you aren't giving them what they need, right? Some people say, I feel like my parent didn't give me the attention that I feel like I needed as a child. So I want to make sure that when I have children, I want to be able to give them the attention, that's always so. But on the other hand, there are some people who feel like because maybe they didn't receive acceptance when they were growing up. Sometimes they can't give acceptance to other people. So maybe if they felt judged as a child growing up, they can fast forward when they're an adult interacting with their own children, that maybe perhaps their own children feel judged because you grew up being judged. I don't know. I just really think that it is an enlightening experience. This particular exercise, I absolutely love it. And as a matter of fact, I think I may steal this exercise because I may actually use this in an upcoming retreat. I'm thinking about, I have a team of people. I have a new team of people. I had an old team, but now I have another group of people that I'm working with. I'm thinking about doing a retreat about this. So I may do a retreat surrounding some of these things, but it's in the works. And y'all, planning retreats and planning things like the All Black National Convention and stuff like that, it takes a lot of work. So hats off to anybody who even attempts to put stuff like this together. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of resources to put these things together. Anyway, all right. So being aware of fulfillment. Oh, yes. Okay, Irma wants me to repeat. In this book, on page 79, list specific ways that these needs were fulfilled or neglected. It was attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. And I talk about that in chapter 1. So you can go back to the videos in chapter 1 and I go into what they all look like. But you kind of know what attention means. Like, do people give you attention, or are they always on their phone, or always, half listening to you, So, so yeah, so you can use those. Okay, what is this? Yeah. Okay. Moments must have played moments. You must have planned something in your life. Planning events take a lot of work. It's it's a little overwhelming. I ain't gonna lie. But the thing is that I have this like desire to do retreats. And every time I try to get rid of it, the idea just keeps sticking into my head. So I feel like I have no choice but to do it. But it takes a lot of work. Anyway, Keaton over here talks about giving all his attention. I'll give you all my attention. Look at Keaton over here. Keaton is a lover boy. Was Keaton the one that talked about, wait, it wasn't Keaton. Who talked about I see sex everywhere? Keaton? I can't remember. Anyway, look at Keaton. That's good. Okay. Okay. All right. Moving along. In case you guys are just joining us, it's about 8:15. Let me just let you know we are reading from How to Be an Adult in Relationships, The 5 Keys to Mindful Loving by David Richo. I'm talking and going through what he lists as activities that he expecting everybody to do in your journal. So he's listing a bunch of activities, and we just have 1, 2, 3, 4 more left, okay, for today. Okay, the next thing he wants you to do in your journal is to think about where you have holes, finding the holes. So I don't know. I like this because I play a lot of bid whiz. I'm from Gary, Indiana. So you can't be from Gary and not know how to play bid whiz. I grew up, my family plays bid whiz. My cousins, they play bid whiz. They've won like bid whiz tournaments and stuff. So they're really good. I don't like playing with them because they're too good. No one can beat them. But when you play bid, y'all ever play bid whiz? When you play bid, you have to actually bid how many books you can make past 6 in your hand, right? And you have a partner, right? So hopefully your partner, once you win the bid, hopefully your partner has your holes, right? You play all big and bad, and then if you win the bid, then you have to deliver. So that means and there's a kitty in there that helps you out. So you can pull the kitty up. So you have an advantage going in playing bid if you win the bid, but you also need to rely on your partner. Bid whiz is like spades, moments with LJ. Bid whiz is kind of like spades, but it's like spades, but way more interesting to me. So it's saying that you have a hand, you also have a kitty to help you out. So you got helpers along the way to help you get your bid, but ultimately you're going to need your partner to come through for you, right? But sometimes you have holes and sometimes your partner can't help you, right? So that's what I think of when I think of finding the holes. So this is a metaphor for finding the holes of what's going on with you, right? This is what the author is saying. It is painful for us to find ourselves fully. We avoid the holes that were left in us by disappointments of early life and adult relationships. So when we compare that to bid whiz, you're dealt a hand. And maybe the hand that's dealt to you is similar to your parents, the family members you grew up with. That's the hand that's dealt to you, right? And sometimes you got a strong hand, which means you have a really healthy family. And sometimes your hand is weak. You're like, I can't bid nothing. I got nothing in this hand. I got a bunch of losers. So to speak, maybe you're dealt a hand where you have a family member, which could be, I don't believe in labeling people as a loser, but giving you the 5 A's that you need, which is attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. Maybe you were dealt a hand from God, from your family, right? You have no control of it. It's just shuffling the cards and you passing them out, right? Okay, so that is the disappointments of early life. Some of us were not dealt a wonderful hand. Some of us were dealt better hands than others, but that's okay because you know what? You got the kitty. The kitty helps you. You win that bid, you got the kitty. And I think the kitty is almost like you yourself. The kitty is kind of like things in yourself that you can draw upon to help you overcome, right? But at the same time, you have adult relationships. And in those adult relationships, that's your partner. Your partner sometimes can fill the holes, but sometimes your partner can't fill the holes. Your partner is like, I do not, I don't have a big joker. Who got the big joker? I don't have it. So that's the thing. I really think that we need to really understand here exactly what hand that we're dealt, what we have in terms of the kitty to help us get through things, and then what we can rely on our partner to help. But what this book is saying is that the disappointments of early life, what you were dealt with, and adult relationships, your partner, there's always holes and you feel disappointed. But we launch ourselves into them and through them. Here is an empowering experience, practice, to be done in a quiet, meditative way. Here are things that we can do in a meditative way. Number one, find the holes in yourself, the places where the 5 A's have been unfulfilled. Find them, actively look at them. Number two, think of all the times you've tried to fill the holes with someone or something. Usually it's with someone and something. Usually it's like an addiction, right? Number three, make a commitment to climb into the scary craters and sit in them on your own with no attempt to fulfill them. The only tools you bring in with you are the 5 A's. Right? Simply stay in each of your deficiencies attentively, acceptingly, appreciatively, and affectionately, fully allowing it to be there. Let it be there, right? Without protest, shame, or blame. The 5 A's are the only true fulfillment of the needs. By giving them to yourself, you are healing wounds you receive because you didn't get them from others in your past. This is a great, this is going to be an activity for my retreat. I guarantee you, we're going to be doing some of these things and processing some of these experiences. He's also saying that once you realize what those holes are, that you need to stay with your empty places again and again. You will gradually see them open into lively spaces. Our gaps are not covered or canceled, but exposed by the 5 A's. Oh, and he's going back to Alice in Wonderland because we talked about Alice in Wonderland a few weeks ago, how it's really a metaphor of self-discovery. So y'all check out that movie, Alice in Wonderland. Again, you got to give it to Disney. Give it to Disney. Disney knows how to write some really powerful children's stories. Alice, by herself, she followed the white rabbit into a hole that led into parts of herself that were confused and scary. She was scared the whole time. What's going on? Why did I shrink down? What's happening? She was confused the whole movie, really. Ask yourself if your various partners were meant to be just such rabbits that kindly try to show you the way into your deepest self. That is your eyes open, your open heart. Now you are finally willing to enter. So he's saying, go down that rabbit hole, explore, find out who and what you are metaphorically down that rabbit hole by doing these exercises. This is all about self-discovery. That's pretty heavy. I think it's tough to do. This is tough to do, but you can do it in your journal, and you can always burn it once you're done if you feel that embarrassed by some of the things that you feel like you were lacking in your life. Okay. He also talks about witnessing your pain. Early or throughout life, your partner or you may have suffered abuse or betrayals or hurt. Early or throughout life, your partner or you may have suffered abuse or betrayals or hurts. Offer your partner the experience of mindful witnessing of the pain that still remains. Come on, men. I'm challenging men to do this. Do this with your partner, right? Mindful witnessing means listening with complete attentiveness, acceptance, allowing affection and appreciation to what the other person reveals and to the feelings behind the person's story. If you ever are in a position where you have a child or a spouse who feels like they want to open up to you, just sit there and watch. Come on. And whenever Dr. Boyce, to you guys, whenever he feels like he needs to get something off his chest, I'm so excited because he doesn't talk that much, believe it or not. So usually I say, what's on your mind? What's happening? And I just button it up and I just let him go, right? He tells me things that he wouldn't say to anybody else, right? And I'm a safe person. I'm not going to bring it up in an argument, or if I get mad at him or something, I'm not going to bring it up. It's going to be confidential. But I love when he opens up and I thank him. You got to thank the other person. Thank you so much for opening up to me. Just because I'm married to you doesn't mean that you have to open up to me. So I appreciate it. I do say that. There must be something about me that makes you feel safe enough to open up to me. So I make sure that I spend a lot of time and effort creating this type of atmosphere for him. And you guys need to do that for each other. As a mindful witness, you do not give advice or try to fix anything, but simply take in what is said and felt in a respectful and encouraging way. Keep what is said completely confidential. Completely. Don't tell your best friend. Don't tell your mama. Can't tell your mama everything, right? And do not talk about it with that person. Don't even talk about it unless the other person asks you to bring it up. Yeah. One caution: do not try this if one of you feels unready to face the pain. Okay, you have to be ready for it. For the practice may bring up pain that has been repressed and controlled for years. Yeah, you don't want to open Pandora's box for things that have happened that can be really challenging, right? But whatever it is, it's confidential. You lock it in a vault, and hopefully that person will open up to you and share with you some more. This is how we have healthy relationships. Kevin, problem is several women have unsafe to open up to. For me, one time was one too many. Yeah, so Kevin, that's why you got to go to the first exercise, Kevin. Checking for safety. You got to check for safety. You got to check for making sure that you're with somebody who's adult enough to handle what you got to talk about, right? So Kevin, you bring up something really wonderful. You got to check for safety. That's the very first practice he asked for. So that is a problem. And if you find someone that you're not safe with, do not open up to them, right? Work on trying to find a mate who you feel comfortable with and not your enemy, right? Someone that you can feel safe with. Thank you, Kevin, for bringing that up. Kevin is a male name, so I guess he's a guy. And a lot of men are vigilant. A lot of men are very vigilant of trying to find someone they feel safe with. Look at Rhonda. Thank you, Rhonda. Dr. Boyce looks amazing since your marriage. Yeah, he's an amazing person on the inside. He really is. And, you know, we got to get it on the outside too. But yeah, that's my guy. He's always been Boyce as long as I've known him. So thank you for that. How do I turn that off? Okay. Witnessing the pain. That's a challenge. So whenever you're in a position where somebody is really opening up to you, you have to keep it confidential. Thank you, Irma. Men sometimes are too closed and everything is confidential. Yeah, because they don't want to be hurt. Just look, Irma, you got to look at men sometimes where it's either the hurt child that's talking or the developed adult that's talking. And when they feel like they need to keep everything confidential and they don't feel like they can open up, that's hurt child, you know, and you just have to understand that. And I think if you can have a conversation about it, if you can say, what can I do to make you feel more comfortable with me? What happened to you that makes you feel like you can't open up? They're going to have a story. So try to get from them, you know, what's going on, and you be open. Sometimes you can model for a lot of men. If you feel safe enough, now you don't want to share everything, but if you feel safe enough, you can honestly say, hey, let me share something with you. And you can model for them how to open up and how to be vulnerable, because men can't be vulnerable and they shouldn't be, right? But with people that they trust and people that they feel safe with, they need to open up to them. So it's a very tricky thing. Thank you, Irma. That comment is really spot on today. Okay, one caution. Do not try this. Yeah, bringing up the pain. Just make sure it's something that you feel comfortable bringing up. Okay, last two ones. You got to locate the pearl. I love this analogy. The author comes up with this analogy about the pearl. He's saying, consider the commentary on the pearl as a metaphor for pain and its potential to be changed into something beautiful, like a pearl, right? Because pearls are mysterious. Anyway, then this poem, then write a poem. He wants you to write a poem. Oh my goodness, this author wants you to write a poem about the pearl, exploring your memories of pearls and how they figure in your life, or answer these questions that he supplied. So let me give you the scenario about the pearl. Okay. In reaction to an irritation caused by a parasite or a grain of sand, the self-healing power of the oyster covers it with layers of arangonite. I don't know how to pronounce that. But the pearl covers it. After several years, not the pearl, the oyster. Okay, let me start from the beginning. In reaction to an irritation caused by a parasite or a grain of sand, so something's irritated this oyster, got in, he covers it up, the oyster. Self-healing power of the oyster covers it with layers of this material. After several years, the pearl is created, composed of the same materials as the inner shell of the oyster. A pearl, thus, achieves its beauty and value from deep within its own protective shell. Y'all know where they're going with this scenario, right? The unique luster of the pearl depends on the refraction of light from their translucent layering. The iridescence that some pearls emit is caused by the overlapping of successive layers that disperse the light as it hits them. The pearl science is amazing, right? Unlike any other gems, pearls are not cut or polished. Pearls is the only gem that's not cut or polished. Y'all see how shiny pearls are? I don't have pearls today. Usually I wear pearls. It is not cut or polished, but they're very translucent, right? They can easily decay, and their softness makes them very vulnerable to acid and heat. Pearls like to be worn against human skin, which is the best way to maintain their luster. So pearls have to be worn to maintain their luster. Okay, there's some science about pearls. There are many layers of metaphor in this description. Journal. Pull your journals out. Journal your responses to these questions. What is the grit in you? The grit, that little grain of sand that gets into the oyster. What is your grain of sand? What is your grit that awaits attention or has already been covered up? Do you trust your inner resources to provide the layering that will transform grit into pearls? Yes, Ronald. That's why women love pearls. You're right. That's why women love pearls. Yes, Ronald. So when you get, hey, that's romance right there, Ronald. You got to give your significant other a pearl and tell the story about the pearl. They'll be all excited about that. Notice the phrase is self-healing power from deep within its own protective shell. Their softness makes them vulnerable against human skin to maintain their luster. How will they work for you? What is it that you're going to have in yourself to help you gain your luster? And I do think, well, I don't think I know, and all therapists know this, that everybody already has what it takes to turn that grain of sand into a pearl. And it's funny because that's the whole purpose of therapy is to help you find that grain of sand that's initially an irritant. It's a pain that you don't have to suffer from, but what you can do is turn it into a pearl. And that's on the other side of therapy: self-acceptance, self-love, understanding, going through your life, being calm, being relaxed, never feeling pain, never suffering, feeling pain, but never suffering from the pain, right? That's the whole point of therapy, being in connection with how you felt in that moment when that painful thing happened to you and connecting with that. Yes, the inner beauty. There's beauty in pain. There's strength in pain, right? And you know what the biggest thing that pain gives you? There's a birthing process. Anybody ever have a baby? I've had 3 babies. It's a birthing process, right? There's something beautiful that comes out of something painful. Let me tell you, birthing is very painful. So, but yeah, the inner, unearthing the inner beauty, I think that is spot. All right, so how y'all doing? How y'all doing, everybody? Yes, there's joy. As soon as you have a baby, all of the chemicals, the love chemicals run through your body and you're just joyous. And sometimes, why would I have 3 children? Well, because I got amnesia and I forgot how painful it was. The joy took over. And then I have another baby and I'm like, yeah, now I remember this was painful. But anyway. Lastly, we're going to finish up chapter 2, and then we're going to go on next week. We're going to figure out how to find a partner. Y'all got to tune in to that. Rhonda said, "Is heaven to give birth?" Girl. Oh my God. Yeah, I guess that's heaven. I could look back on it and say it's heaven, but in the moment, I just remember thinking this feels painful. Okay. Especially natural childbirth, which I had natural childbirth. It was hard. Okay. The last thing that David Risho, we're talking about for people just joining, how to be an adult in relationships, the 5 keys to mindful loving. We are going over the practices. Get your journals out. He wants you to write about this. The last thing he talks about in chapter 2 is how to grieve the past. Y'all ready for that? Turn to the appendix. and read the introductory section. Okay, so he wants you to go to the back of the book. He wants you to read the introduction. When you feel ready, begin the steps of grieving for childhood losses and abuses. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree to this strategy. I use this strategy a lot when it comes to people who consider a relationship as failed, you know, people who end a relationship. I always say, you got to grieve that relationship because you put your hopes and dreams into this relationship that it will last forever, and it didn't last forever. So sometimes you need to grieve the idea of a perfect relationship that you didn't get. I also think that all of us need to grieve all of the things that we didn't get as a child, because you can't reverse time and go back and change things a lot of times. So it is important to grieve childhood losses, childhood abuses. Continue with the steps according to your own timing as you read this book. Perhaps working on one step with each of the following chapters. You may also opt to begin the steps after reading this entire book. Respecting your own timing is an essential element of success in any practice and in any relationship. And with that, we are done with chapter 2. Y'all, we're going to tune in next week. Oh, let me talk about what I need to talk about. I'd like for you all to go to, I can't even find it. Let me see if I can find. Y'all, I'm not the best YouTuber, but text love to 87948. I think you get text messages on whether when I go live. I don't know what time on a Sunday I go live, but sometimes it's around about this time of the day. It all depends on what I got going on with my private practice. But y'all want to text love to 87948 so that you can find out when next week I'm going to be talking about how to find a partner. So I'm excited about talking about that because that's always something we like to analyze and try to figure out. But I thank you all for joining me today. Follow me on Instagram, Coaching with Dr. Alicia. If you need to get a hold of me, if you want to reach out to me, I will email you back, either myself or my assistant. You can find me at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Let me say goodbye to everyone. Thank you, Ronald, Kevin, Dr. Vibe. Love you so much. Rhonda, McClure. I will see y'all next week. Okay. Bye-bye.